What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? So my mic was muted, so we're gonna try this all up again. All right, ready? What's going on, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? How y'all doing today? I'm just saying, look, I tried to start. So look, on my side, I popped up on the screen, so I was like, "What's up? What's up? What's up?" And then I was like, "Not yet." Then I popped up again, so I was like, "What's up?"
You sure you didn't pop up from previous shows? You didn't realize what color shirt you had on?
Oh, you know what?
See, he's getting old, y'all. We just talked about this. He's getting old.
You know what?
You did it. You did it that time.
Legacy, drop kick right in the bladder right now. Go, hiya, kick right in the bladder. What's going on, family? Welcome back to another episode of No Clue for another week on this here Tuesday. We back again, hollering at y'all all the way from the ATL, all the way from the CHI and the STL. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, MySpace, YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. Oh, I can't say MySpace. DJ gets upset when I say MySpace. Follow us on. Subscribe on YouTube. I forgot the other one.
And Christian Mingle.
If you want to support the show, you can support the show by going on, what is it, guys?
Patreon.
Y'all should let him say it.
Patron.
Subscribe on Patreon. I'm not fooling with y'all because I'm having a great day. I had a good night, a nap. I'm having my orange juice with my vitamin C to keep me healthy. Okay. So let's start with this. How was everybody? So you guys, Chevy is with us, but she just can't turn on her camera right now because she's resting. Because if you didn't know, Chevy has a little thing growing on the inside of her.
Don't talk about my baby.
Why are you calling my baby a thing? Do not make me fight you on this live.
So, but let's talk about everybody's week. How was everybody's week? Let's catch up real quick.
My week is as usual. Superhero. It's my birthday month, though.
Turn up, turn up, turn up.
Hey.
That's great. That means there's only 10 more months to my birthday month. Hey!
Wow.
That was very Kanye West.
You know what? You know, Arteria, I'm gonna let you have your moment. But December, baby. DJ, how was your week, sir?
One more down, one more to go.
Oh, amen. I like that. I had to think about it for a second. When when that bus come back and hit you. Chevy, how was your day? How was your week?
My week was pretty dope. My weekend was dope. I got the chance to sing background for Chrisette Michelle. Meet some really, really dope artists. Listen, I live my best life, and yeah, I'm growing a baby, so I'm good.
That is so cool. That must have been so amazing. That must have been so super amazing.
Thank you. Arteria, you're right. I swallowed a watermelon seed.
Robert's still trying to calculate that.
She's been drinking watermelon.
Oh.
Before I talk about my week, I'm going to introduce our guest of the week so we can find out how her week is.
All right, y'all. So we have. I've known her, but I haven't known her that long. We sung together. So, and her spirit is just amazing. She's an amazing, amazing person. So on this show tonight, this topic is going to be spicy. So I decided to invite her and Miss Paige. Introduce yourself. Tell us how your week going.
My name is Paige Brooks. First off, thanks for having me. This has already turned out to be an awesome conversation. I can tell there are good vibes, and the presence of God is on this podcast.
Don't get me started now. Don't do it.
Okay, period. I've had an amazing week. God has just been so present and number one in my life, literally the chief cornerstone of all that I've been doing and prospering in. Today marked the final day that I no longer had to wait while doing God's work. And I moved into my brand new Skyrise condominium today. So I'm very excited about that. It just goes to show me and others that when you put God first and whatever you do, blessings will come to you.
Amen.
So, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
I love this testimony service.
Oh, y'all haven't heard nothing yet. I'm gonna let her share the rest, but y'all haven't heard nothing yet. So just wait.
So let me tell you about my week. So as you guys may know, I finished my training 37 days in advance.
Ooh.
My first day, my store got robbed.
No way.
I got a phone call at 10:30 at night. It was like, "Hey, Robert, so we just got robbed." I was like, "What the bleep, bleep, bleep?" On my first day, pulled up to a store and the manager was outside by the trash can smoking. Not a cigarette, not a Black and Mild. Can you guess what she was smoking? A whole blunt. It's legal in Illinois, but it's illegal in Missouri. So when I walked in the store and inquired about it, guess what I was told? Oh, I didn't know that was you. So that's what we're doing now. So my first 4 days have been amazing. I have been over the meadow and through the woods. Spent the day today in training, the whole day in training, listening to the Clear Eyes guy. He led my class today, so I had to listen to that for 4.5 hours.
You stayed woke?
Huh?
You stayed woke?
Yeah, so I was getting up and walking around and taking the camera with me because we have to keep our cameras on so we can be interactive. And so I found out today that my disc character is a parrot, which is really good. And it was like, wow. And I'm the only African American on my class. And so they always call on me. I'm token.
You're not African American.
I is African American when it benefits me.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow. We are live. Happy Black History Month.
It's Black History Month.
Oh, by the way, happy Black History Month, African American History Month, whatever you guys want to call it. Happy Our People History Month. I know, DJ, Black history is 365, 366 on leap years. However, I do want to acknowledge that this month, the entire country has to recognize our greatness. They have to, whether they want to or not. The KKK ain't got no month, but we got a month.
Period.
That's not true. They have 11 months, but go forth and be great.
Ooh, well,
this is why system and processes.
I knew you was gonna have something.
I mean, I'm just saying. Let's call a spade, right? We celebrate having the shortest month of the year as a month that acknowledges our history, but American history would not exist without the innovations, the histories, or the transitions of our people, our circumstances, and our experiences. But I'm gonna let y'all have that.
Well, that's why I celebrate my history 365 days a year and 366 on leap year, because every day is Black History Month. I mean, every day is Black History Day. My bad.
That's why that's why y'all hear me say, and on this day in Black history, because every day is Black history.
That's why you say
that part
on this day in Black History. God, it makes sense. All right, guys. After this commercial break, we'll be back with our next topic of Say What. No, we're going to get to Say What. Then we have a commercial. I'm all backwards today. Y'all got me discombobulated. All right, it's time for Say What.
Okay, y'all. So I'm super excited. I wish y'all could see my face. I was trying to get a picture up, but Robert is a hater. He really did want to have a picture up of me on the screen. Anyway, um today say what is actually perfect. Y'all know I'm expecting a baby boy. Arteria announced it last week. We're super excited. And then I saw an announcement that Debrat and her fiance are also expanding their family and are expecting. I am so excited and happy for them. He's such a hater. And then on top of that, my ex-wife Rihanna is also expecting as well. So
You divorced her?
yeah, we got a divorce. It just didn't work out. She wanted Chris
Okay.
Brown. Anyway.
Well, look at the bright side. At least it was, I was gonna get in trouble. I was gonna say at least it was Chris Brown, not Usher.
How do y'all feel? Like, are y'all drinking the water? Because everybody's getting pregnant. Anybody else on here pregnant?
I know everybody.
If I get pregnant, I want y'all to ring the alarms, because baby, that's gonna be a miracle baby right there. I will be.
Look, I
Baby,
met
it will be
you.
the same coming if I get pregnant. Okay.
Our manager chimed in and said she is not on the pregnant list.
I just went through that.
So if Paige isn't pregnant, Chevy pregnant, I guess the only other person we're gonna be looking at in 10 months is gonna be you, Terry.
Yep.
Lie, the devil is a liar.
Well, my brother, I'm sure my brother be happy about that.
Holy.
Well, you never know what tomorrow may bring. In a couple of months, who knows who'll be pregnant. But how do I feel about it? For the brat, whatever. I'm happy for her. Make babies, multiply. For Rihanna, girl, you supposed to call me. Like, our baby would have been cute. It's all outdoors with your accent and my good looks. Our baby would have been the bomb.
Wow.
Like, our bomb would be.
I don't think she sent that memo out. I think her publicist is on something. If you got that memo, it was returned to sender.
That's okay. I know she lived.
Accents give you a look.
I was thinking the same thing. Accent and good looks make a baby. Wait a minute.
Okay.
It'll make our baby. Have you seen Rihanna? Have you seen her body? Have you seen my body? Do y'all want to show me? I can show you what I look like.
I mean, I do know. I was married to her, so
wait
actually...
for it. I'm waiting for it.
Sit down. But my opinion is kudos to both of them for making a decision that I know Debrat and Judy, they came a long way, because I didn't think they were even going to make it as far as they've gotten.
Me either.
So kudos to them. But did y'all see some of the comments under their announcement? The people was going in.
People were eating them up.
They was like, "Who's gonna carry the baby?"
Well, I mean, such are comments. Such are comments to those who don't want to see greatness be great.
True.
But I mean, why
That's
does
all that is.
carry the baby?
Yeah, you know how having human experiences.
In the words of DJ Khaled, they don't want to see us be great.
That's it.
In the famous words of my mama, your mama should have swallowed.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
That's
Again, we are live.
If you don't want somebody to be happy,
Again, we are live.
What does that have to do with you? What does that have to do with you? That's like if DJ wanted to have a baby. What does that have to do with me? I don't have to take care of it. DJ has to take care of it.
DJ, you expecting?
No, baby. I got plan B. Boost the house down.
I'm dead. What the TikTok say? If you ain't changing diapers, then where you at? I got plan B, so I don't have to do that.
Oh my God.
DJ, tell them you expecting that doctorate degree. That's what you expect.
Come on, somebody.
You hear me?
Come on, doctor.
Come on.
So I ain't gonna be able to handle it. 2 doctors and 2 mothers. Ain't that something?
And one mother. I'm just playing.
Wow.
We live. I had to come. Thank you. Robert State's coming for me.
One mother, shut up. Stop it.
I just wonder about y'all sometime. Like, what is y'all mental sanity?
So let's loop back around.
Right. What do you think, DJ? How you feeling?
I mean, I think it's a beautiful thing when anybody decides to have a child. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of responsibility, and especially considering all the death announcements that we all been seeing since December. It's always good to see something else that's not as down, as depressing and daunting. And whatever they decide to do, it's their choice because we don't talk about all these other women who out there popping out babies to get a refund check. But
Ooh,
it is what it is.
ooh. Sister
Or the
and
women
Process is
pop-
on one today.
or the women
My
who popping
gosh.
out babies just because Nick Cannon's the daddy.
Ooh,
Y'all
Or
don't
just
take
because they give out $1,000 in EBT.
That
ooh.
part.
Oh my god.
Hold on a minute.
Y'all on
I'm
one
a little
today.
jelly about that because the cost of food is expensive. I went and got a quart of
Okay.
milk, some bread, peanut butter and jelly, and I spent $22 on just those 4 items. I need some
You did
EBT.
not spend-
So I will. I mean, if
Were
you
you shopping at Whole Foods?
no, I went to Schnucks. It's like Kroger.
It is like Kroger.
I mean, the cost of food is expensive. Have you seen what a pack of chicken costs? I'm finna get a farm
What
and have some
is
chicken right
Schnucks?
around
I have
here.
never heard of that.
It's like Kroger.
It's like
Really?
Kroger, but in Midwest Kroger.
Do
Y'all,
they
the
have
cost
Kroger?
of
Have
Even though,
Kroger at all?
yes, we do have some Krogers, but
Okay.
we have
first of all,
different
it's Hey Roger.
we
Okay,
have different variations of it. So we don't have a lot of stores that are just Kroger. We have a lot of the smaller chains, but
Got it.
but
Got it.
I'm
Well,
happy for them, and to all their haters, kick Rusty Razor Blades barefoot.
Actually, CeeLo Green said it best. F you. To any
okay.
of their haters. So I feel like y'all should live y'all best life and ignore what people have to say. Who cares? Unfortunately, in the world that we're living in, me and my spouse also have had to go through some people hating. I mean, it happens. People don't understand, and people want to bring up the fact that it's two moms and they feel like the child is going to, not do well and have issues because it has two moms, and it's been a lot. So I understand, but listen, baby, live your life to the fullest. And I feel like I've seen sometimes where children who are raised in a two mom household or two dad household are raised even better than some of us were raised with two parents. Amen.
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 I think as long as the child has tons and tons of love around them, it can't help. It's just like a plant. I mean,
oh, she went out again.
Oh,
I feel like that was about to be really good. That was a word from the Lord.
I think the way she was going, it's like a plant. You don't nourish it, talk to it, water it, feed it, take care of it.
Come on, tag team preacher.
You know we come from the Church of God in Christ, baby. You gotta be ready. Be ready. Be ready. Bible says, y'all.
Come on now.
All right, guys. Well, we'll be back with you after this brief commercial break with our main topic. Get comfortable. Get you something to drink. It's gonna get good because no clue. We talked about the real. All right. We'll be right back. Shout out to our production company, Ricky Z Media. We caught on Terry in the middle of something.
I always been for our commercial.
If you have a social media idea, you want to have content you want to put out there, you want to start your own podcast, reach out to Ricky Z Media. That's who produces No Clue the podcast. You can email us at nocluetheshow@gmail.com. She'll be right in touch with you. Check her out. Join us next week. You get to talk to her one-on-one directly. All right. So for the main topic, who's up tonight?
It's me.
It's me. I was thinking the same thing.
Tag team singing. Tag team singing. I love it.
I was about to start singing the gospel song. All right. So tonight's topic is going to be it's a topic that's very near and dear to my heart, and I think that it's a topic that needs to be discussed. People don't really talk about it, but if they do talk about it, they're talking about it in a negative light. And so I wanted to bring somebody that I know that it touches, her life as well, and help allow her to help us to be educated on this topic. So tonight's topic is transphobia. And then if I had to put a subtitle, it'd be what's the fear? We have a lot of people that walk around and threaten our trans community, don't really understand the trans community. They go by he say, she say, instead of doing the research themselves. So my first question that Paige, I've allowed Paige to introduce herself. So first question I want to toss out without Paige answering is, what is your definition of understanding of transsexual, trans, however you want to put the word?
Okay, Chavez, we got to answer before System and Processes Department does, because you know when he answers, anything we say behind it gonna sound like
elementary.
But you know when he comes up, well,
they be trying to make us
the
look
definition
bad.
as presented, then we all gonna say like, wah, 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 wah.
Turn with me. I'm just playing.
Right.
What should you guys, Robert? Let's start with you, Robert. Okay. What's your definition or understanding of of trans or transsexual?
My understanding, and this is my understanding, not scientific or medical, is just a person who feels that they were born of the wrong sex, for lack of better terminology. And the reason I say better terminology is because I don't have a medical degree, so I'm sure he's gonna get me right together. I have my notes ready.
He already did this.
Well, yeah, because
But that is my perception. Chavez.
And this is the reason why I really wanted to let DJ talk so I can be like, yep, what he said.
No.
I don't.
No. Go
ahead. My definition is like kind of, I guess it's gonna sound elementary because I was thinking the same thing as Robert. And I don't know. I also would add, in this kind of situation, because of my free spirit, I just feel like in that case, you just kind of mind your business. I mean, you love people for who they are and respect people where they are. Like that. I don't know. That's just how I live my life. So.
Okay, DJ.
So the first thing is sex and gender are not synonymous. And remember, we talked about that, and I brought that up. Sex is the biological components of what makes us male or female. That's chromosomes and genitalia. Gender, on the other hand, is how we identify what we express with. What is our internalized feel space? So sex and gender are not synonymous. So that was the first thing that I wanted to correct, because that was really, really bothering me. Y'all know that. Y'all know it was hurting my feelings. Sex is biological, people. It's your chromosomes and your genitalia. Gender is how I feel about myself. What do I express? What does my internal side say about who I am? So in relation to the question, a person that's of a trans experience is somebody that potentially was just born in the wrong body, right? And I do not identify with this biological or the gender constructs and constraints that have been identified and placed upon me. And that's as simple as y'all know I can get it without trying to make it over the top.
All right, Miss Paige, school us a little bit.
Well, I don't know how much more I could school because all of those responses were awesome. And I hope that while I'm speaking, my internet doesn't give out again. I'm not quite sure what's going on. It's usually a lot better. So trans or transgender, or a woman or male of trans experience, is an individual who does not identify with the gender they were born as. That is, and the term that society has put out is transgender, because you are literally going from one gender to the next. And I have the liberty of living that experience as a trans female, meaning I was born male and transitioning.
And it went up. So what she was saying was, in the trans community, there is female to male, and then there's male to female. Mm-hmm. So that's the transition process. You're back.
Yeah, I do apologize about.
She froze again.
Yeah, she froze.
Oh, signal is only on 2. It's still pausing. Come on. Maybe I get off if I get out of this bathroom. I'm so sorry about that. But yeah, so I have the liberty of going through this experience, being born male and transitioning into female. And your transition is different for each individual. So the completion of a transition could be different for each individual, but that's transgender or women of trans experience or men of trans experience in a nutshell.
Okay. So just to toss out a little bit more information as I was doing the research on this. So transgender people are people whose gender identifies as different from the gender they were thought to be at birth. Trans is often used as a shorthand term for transgender, female to male or male to female. Trans feminine is a term for any person, binary or non-binary, who was assigned male at birth and has a predominantly feminine gender identity or presentation. Transmasculine is the equivalent term for someone who was assigned female at birth and has a predominantly masculine gender identity or presentation. Rob, you look so confused.
I say it's a lot to try to process all of the different terminologies. And maybe it's because, as you guys have clearly stated several times, I'm getting old. But it's a lot. That was a lot for me. And I know people who identify in each of those situations and hear me clearly, fully, 100% respect them. Some of my best friends, people who I would give my bank account, debit card, credit card, kidneys, lungs to, are trans individuals, and I love them dearly. Say something about them, I will pop you in your mouth and go to jail happy. Hear me clearly. I will get rid of your body. But it's a lot.
Again, we are live, but oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't know. It's there's a lot of when you said if you do anything to them, there's a lot of hate against trans individuals, and I have my ideas of why, and dating on back to slavery. I, for one, am now almost about, I think the 26th of this month will make 3 months since I was shot in my head.
Wait a minute. No. Wait a minute.
You said no. Let's stop right there. Okay, great.
Pull it back. Okay, so we identified our definition and understanding of transgender. So I know a lot of people may ask this question, so I'll ask it for everyone, and then Paige can kind of answer it. How does one know that they want to transition?
You're asking me, or you want me to start? I can't speak for everybody. I can only speak for myself if I'm going to answer that question fairly. So I will use, I a lot when I say this. I knew I wanted to transition when, for 3 years, I had a friend that I stayed with, and I ended up moving from Atlanta all the way to Indianapolis. And my second year in living in Indiana, I don't know what got into me. My friend was always saying, "Oh my God, you should dress up. You should dress up. You would be so pretty. You're like 5'0", and all this stuff like that." And I was like, I'm going to be very transparent when I say this. I was like, I don't want to do that. That's gay. I was like, I'm gay enough, that was the ignorance. And then we had, something had happened, and we got into this bad car accident. And it really woke me up, and I wanted to try different things. And so I took $300 of my own funds, and I bought the shoes, I bought the clothes, just doing the things that I never done before. And I was just like, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. And when I looked into the mirror, I absolutely knew. I knew then how to identify how I was feeling on the inside. growing up, the only thing I would hear, especially from little kids, is, "Mom, why does she have a mustache?" And I'm like, but what are you teaching your kids? So it was always there. It just doesn't happen overnight. You always know that there's something different and unique about you. It just doesn't happen. Sorry, I lost it here. It just doesn't happen, you know, on a New Year thing, and that's not a resolution. Oh, this year I'm going to be trans. I'm going to be the best trans I can be. That's just not something that happens. Even as a young person, I played different. I walked different. For Halloween, I wanted to wear a wig. It was always there. But I think what sends a person over the hump to say, you know what I'm going to do is your support system. And someone, and at least one or two people for me, who were just, really, 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 really on my side and saying, you're going to be okay, or you're going to look like this, or you can't do it wrong, or so it was that for me. And I was just like, you know what, forget it, I'm going to try. And I knew. When I looked in the mirror, I said, oh my God, that's her. That's me. And I haven't looked back since.
Something you said that I really like, you said you always knew there was something in you that was unique. I like that because I've heard people say they knew they were weird or something was wrong with them, and there's nothing wrong with you. It's unique. And I love that you use that terminology.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any feedback?
I honestly enjoying the education. I don't know a whole lot. I do have trans friends, and I support and love everybody the same. But I'm actually appreciating your story, and I think it's really dope that you're open to share because you can really help people understand. A lot of us are just ignorant.
There's a lot of ignorance out there, sure.
Okay, so now we're about to get into the good stuff. So, as most of you know, I'm personally not a part of the trans community, but I'm in the trans community, if that makes any sense to any of you guys. So being a part of this, I've been, 10 years? And so I've seen so much hate. I've heard so much hate. I've realized that the trans community is a huge target on their back. And so some of the things that I've heard personally that a lot of people will say against the trans community is, all trans people are mentally ill. Trans people all go through surgeries. Why are the trans community out here tricking people? The trans community lacks self-confidence. And the biggest one that stands out to me is, especially when they're dating in the trans communities, is keep me a secret, or keep this relationship a secret. Before I allow Paige to speak and share her story that y'all are so anxious for, what are some things that you guys have heard that makes you think, like, why?
Makes us think why. What that was like
why is there so much hate within the trans community? Why is there so much? Why do people talk so negatively about the trans community?
Well, for one, they don't have an understanding. It's also like, it's not, I know we're talking about trans tonight, but it's almost similar to the same way that people look at anyone who is gay or lesbian. A lot of people just don't understand. I was just explaining this to someone the other day because someone was speaking ignorantly about being a lesbian woman. And I had to explain, like, I understand you don't know, and this is not your experience, but this is my life. You know what I mean? This is who I am. And I don't, I had to explain, for example, like, I don't go to the lesbian bathroom or the lesbian movies. I'm just a person who happens to be a lesbian woman. You know what I mean? It's who I am. So I feel like people just really don't know. They need to be educated.
Is there anything that you've heard outside of some of those that I've given? Is there anything that you've heard?
I have literally heard, but the things that I hear, Terry, honestly, are more on a spiritual aspect. People always feel like someone had to be touching them that was of their same sex that they were born into, and then they feel like because of that they no longer want to you know, be a part of that group, if that makes any sense.
DJ Robert, anything you guys have heard or?
I mean, y'all know I work in social services, so I hear all kinds of things. I interact with people of trans experience all the time. Uh, and that's why I lead in with that as things. But I mean, I think the most important part to that is just that, you know, when we don't understand something, and I say we in the larger context of society, right? When we don't understand something, we immediately find it fearful. It's a panic, it's an uproar. It causes us to think. It causes us to have to shift our gears and look at things a little bit differently because it doesn't quite confine into the nice little packaged boxes that we expected, right? And so when something doesn't fit into the nice little prepackaged conception, we have an issue with that. But I think when you take that a step further, and it's just like, okay, for people of trans experience, not only do they have to deal with the larger mainstream society and their issues, they also have to deal with the stuff inside of our own community, right? Because it's a whole community of people that still have issues with people of trans experience for a plethora of reasons, right? And most of them are their own issues. But when you think about that and you think about just the level of resilience that a person has to possess to be able to still compassionate and hold their head up high every day through things, I don't find that to be something that's fearful. In my opinion, that's something that should be commended because you ain't gonna tell me that everywhere I go and every time I take a breath or take a step, like I got to turn my back. And so now you're telling me not only am I a person that's black, not only am I a person of a non-heteronormative experience, I'm a person of trans experience, and I'm black. I got to deal with all of that and still keep my head up high every day. No, that's to be commended. It's not to be feared.
Absolutely, Robert.
What DJ said.
See?
No, so I'm a spiritual lens being raised in the church. We was always told that those were manifestations of the devil because those are shapeshifters is what the Bible would call them, and that those are people who are saying that God made a mistake when they were created. And so as a child I was taught that those are people you stray away from because they bring negative spirits into your realm. Like if you get around them, you become disgruntled or your life goes to hell because you're hanging with the enemy. It took, now I'm being transparent here, growing up I believed that wholeheartedly. I believe that that people of them who were transgender were cursing God. They were slapping God in the face. It wasn't until 2002, recently, like 20 years ago, I went to church, and at this church, I tell my tea, I don't care. There was a minister there. Well, he was just a normal parishioner like me, and I was like, he is so fine. Like when I say fine, he's like fine. Like the guy from Bridgerton, fine, right? And so I would flirt, he would flirt, we would go out to eat, and then so one day someone came to me, and it was like, it's funny how at this table, the person with the deepest voice isn't a man. And so I'm looking at the table like, we all men. So who are you talking about? I was confused. And then when they told me, I was like flabbergasted. And so rather than holding to my old school ideologies, I went to him and I said, hey, can I just ask you some questions? And he was like, yeah, what's up? I was like, I want to know more about the trans now experience, because I said trans lifestyle at the time. But I've come to learn it's trans experience. Thank you, DJ. And so
Yes, thank you.
I asked him to tell me about the experience, and it was supposed to be like Starbucks, but like 4 hours later, I realized that it's more to it than what I was taught. So that's what I've heard. Do I still believe that? By no means necessary.
All right, Miss Page, you're up. You're muted. You muted still.
I think I'm backstage as well.
No, you're
So
up.
No, you're
You're
fine.
up.
okay, what about now? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, I do apologize. I'm gonna have to. Oh my gosh, talk about this new hotspot. It's just here in the new place, but so that means bigger and better. But anywho, so I would want you to repeat the question again, specifically on what everybody just touched on.
So I asked them what are some things that they've heard about the trans experience or the trans community. What are some negative impacts that they've heard?
Yeah. Well, okay. Having lived most of it, again, being very transparent about it, things that you may have also heard is that we are nasty. I've heard that we are child molesters. I've heard that we are dope fiends. I've heard I've heard that we are men and we will never be women.
Um,
I've heard a lot of things living this experience, and it's way past time for it to all stop. It's way past time for it to all stop. I literally had a mother of a friend who I graduated from high school with almost prevent me from living with a friend when I was homeless, telling her that you shouldn't let her come and live with you because she's going to do something to your boys. That friend is the closest we have ever been, and her boys are my godchildren, and I will never, ever do anything to harm them. In fact, I probably do more for them than their mother because I can't have kids of my own, so I can never see myself hurting a child. But that's the false narrative and rhetoric that's put out there about women such as myself.
So let's get into the dating aspect of it. And this is where you can get into what you were trying to share. So let's get into the dating side of it.
All right. And again, my service is breaking up, but y'all, I promise you I'm gonna jump back on every time. Dating hasn't been all bad. In fact, a lot about, because it all depends on the person, right? And that's when in any community, you're gonna have great experiences and then you're gonna have bad experiences, and they're supposed to teach you how to appreciate the great experience, and hopefully that great experience leads to something long-term and promising, like marriage and a family and a business and things of that nature. But being a woman of change experience and living this experience, dating, I'm going to be very, very honest. There's some things that just people who may be watching who know me probably don't even know. I think, right. So dating for me started when I was introduced to escort. And I was young. I was young in my, mid 20s, still in my mid 20s. And okay, so ever 21 over here. But so that to me is what dating was, being trans. And I wasn't escorting because I wanted to escort. I had to. I was stuck in a job, believing that I couldn't excel or be successful not because I was trans. I was working in the fast food industry, and honestly, it's really not that taboo in the fast food industry because we're so marginalized. Those are the jobs that we feel most comfortable at because nobody is really judging us or looking at us like, oh my God, I've never seen that before. In the fast food industry, because we are marginalized, that's where we cling to. You can see us at a drive-thru window because it's touch and go. You can see us at the front counter because it's touch and go. So a lot of us felt comfortable with getting those kinds of jobs. And then not only that, I had to drop out of college because I did not have any assistance, as I wanted to. I wasn't mobile. And at the time, I was out in Gwinnett. Gwinnett didn't have any buses. So that's where I was with it. And the job that I had wasn't cutting it. It wasn't paying the bills. And I ended up joining the ballroom scene. And when I was introduced to the ballroom scene here in Atlanta, I was introduced to some girls who were already in the house that I had joined, which at the time was Manolo Blahnik. And so those girls, listening to my problems and listening to my concerns, introduced me to escorting, which was now my idea of what dating was. Dating was, touch and go. It was, we may know a little bit about each other, but as long as you put your money at the table, everything is okay. Pay a bill, then pay the bill. So it was that. And I just got that information from my good homegirl in the room, who's also along with the same experience. Love her to pieces. But so dating was a little bit, it's where I met a guy who was a doctor, and I wasn't trans at the time. I was still cross-dressing is what they called it. And I met him through escorting, and he took a liking to me more so outside of the bedroom, but also wanting to do a little bit more in the bedroom as well. And he began to provide me with the things that I didn't have in order for me to transcend and things of that nature. And I remember a conversation he and I had, and I didn't choose him. He chose me, but I felt like I should have a choice in the matter. His idea was, oh, you're transgender. What else are you going to find? Crazy, right? Because here I am, a human being. Okay? Here I am, a human being. So you're telling me that because I'm trans, I don't have a choice in who is interested in me? That's literally what his perception was. And so from that point on, I made it a point for me to have some say-so in the matter. Whether I was trans, cross-dresser, male, female, it didn't matter to me. I began to do the public health work of it. And it started with me. I began to work within myself. I began to try to understand, well, what is this confusion or ignorance that says, but because I'm trans, I shouldn't have options? That I have to choose you because you're interested in me. Now, he had a good point. He had a very good point, because I then had to distance myself away from the negativity, away from the escorting. And it took a little time. It took knowing who I was as a woman, not as a trans woman, but as a woman, as a person. It took knowing who I was as an individual for myself to know that I can exit that world and enter into a new. When I began to work on that and get into public health, I was starting to attract different kinds of guys, and there was still some work that I need to do outside of that. But I then went into a realm where people were interested in getting to know who I was, while I was trying to figure out who I was. So when you're trans and you're pretty trans, or if you're just trans, period. And I don't want to use the term taboo, because taboo makes it seem like, oh, put it in the closet or put it away. That's not, that's what it's saying. But when you're trans, it's a fetish, so to speak. And so you have to be careful and use your spirit of discernment when people are interested in you, because most of the guys that you are going to run into as a trans individual is going to only care for you because you are a fetish. Oh, you got something extra and my girlfriend doesn't have it. Oh, you got something extra and my wife can't do that. Or you can do this and my ex couldn't. Or, there's always another something involved. You know what I'm saying? Now, there are a lot of us who are marginalized. There are a lot of us who are literally what society would consider at the bottom of the barrel. And they don't know yet that they don't have to just accept anything. That they don't have to just eat the plate that was made for them. That they can throw it in the trash and make their own plate.
That's a whole
I've
word.
learned how to make my own plate. Okay? I've learned how to make it right. So a lot of us are still trapped in that world to say, well, this is what I have, this is what I have to go by. I wanted to break that chain. And so I still had a few issues because, of course, escorting introduced to me a lot of crazy things. I can say now that I'm delivered and restored from drug use. You know, so these are the things that you hear about trans women. So we hear it ourselves and we become that. If somebody spends their life calling you stupid growing up, you literally limit your ability to be successful in life because you think you're stupid, because that's what you've been told all your life. Versus looking in the mirror and saying, oh no, you're not stupid. You're probably the smartest person in the room. So being encapsulated in all of that, I had to literally just bare myself and strip myself from all of the iniquity, strip myself from all of the turmoil, strip myself from all of the pain, strip myself from all that I had already put myself through. Okay, because we still have to take accountability for what we've done and what we've allowed. I then began to, change my friends. I began to change my support system. And I began to cling to the people that I worked with in the public health field. And I took a liking to one of my homegirls, and we ended up moving in together. I'm going to shorten the story, a long story from that, to lead up into an incident that just happened with me, because it all stemmed from that. It was like a downward spiral, so to speak. So after getting out of all of that, I ended up staying with my friend. And an incident occurred there where someone sexually assaulted me. And I told my friend, and my friend didn't believe me. So even within our own community, we are putting each other down.
Yep.
I looked at a post today from someone who's not even in the LGBTQ community, just in the Black community. He said, we are literally stopping ourselves from getting out of the state of oppression. We are literally preventing ourselves from moving forward from 450 years because we can't even look at each other on the street and say, hey, how are you doing? Have a nice day. And it's the same thing, different scenery within the LGBT community. And it's even shadier, if you will, with from sister to sister as far as trans femininity. And I'll get into that hopefully if when the conversation continues, because it's just crazy. So long story short from that, she kicked me out and I went back to being homeless and struggling. And to me, when I took a loss, it was relapse, it was, anxiety, it was all of that. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So I began to reach out and get resources. One of the resources led me to an organization called Trans Housing Coalition, who put me up in a hotel for 6 months. After my 6 months, I was able to go from there into my own apartment. I hadn't had my own apartment in over 9 years. So it was very exciting. It was very liberating. And it was very, it was just God saying, I got you. And a lot happened, after I got my own apartment, but more importantly, a lot of growth happened. And when you're growing and you're doing things right, if you're a woman of trans experience and you're attractive, I can't, I have to say it this way. I know we're live, but I have to say it this way. If you're attractive, okay, and you've been told you're attractive and you know who you are, everyone sees that. Everyone sees your light. Me personally, I feel like I'm attractive on the inside first and then it shines on the outside, which is why you're attracted. So people see that, young and old. While living in this apartment, I started going to school as a nail technician at S3E9 Beauty School. Hey, Misty, I love you, girl. And I began to invite girls over to my house so I could do their nails. And most of them are, women of the trans experience. One sister of mine in particular came over one day. And this guy saw me standing out at the bus stop waiting for her. And while we were walking towards my apartment, he decided he was going to follow me into my home. And I have to, because like I said, you have to take accountability for what you do. And I realize how ridiculous this may sound, but I allowed it. Mm-hmm. Because as a woman, especially a trans woman, when you're getting attention, it feels good. It makes you feel pretty. It makes you feel wanted, and I must say a part of me was just like, oh, this is really dope. An overly confident man who really feels like, look, I want you. I'm coming to get you. I'm here, and that was okay with me at that time. Again, we still have to pay attention to our spirit of discernment. Had I had paid attention to it instead of ignoring it, I would have been like, you fool, get out of my face. That day was September 24th, 2021. And I told him, I said, I really feel uncomfortable with you being up on me, being this close to me. I said, I just want you to back the hell up, just straight up, my words. And I said, and I want to tell you why you shouldn't be acting the way that you're acting. And even if you are going to act that way, I want you to be able to have a conversation and ask the right questions. See, most men, when they see me, they ask me if I have children. Well, like that's going to tell you anything. Because if I tell you that I do have kids, because some trans women have children. I mean, hello, look at Caitlyn Jenner. Children, hello. So that wasn't the right question. Your right question should be, are you transgender? And let's just face it. Like you said, let's call it what it is. You, in this day and age, that is an okay question. If someone gets offended by it, hey, so be it. But at least you were able to discern who you were talking to. This person didn't. So I felt the need to tell them the truth the day that I met them. And I did. So when he found out from my mouth to his ears, he pulls me close and gives me a kiss. Mm-hmm. Ridiculously, I allowed it. He left, then sent me a text message saying, oh, I don't want anything to do with you. I'm not gay. I said, okay. I mean, I'm 35 years old. I don't need anybody to validate who I am. Not what I am, but who I am. So I thought that was it. Thought I would never see him again or anything like that. And again, there are things that I hold myself accountable for, because after that, 4 more times he would come to see me unannounced, never text, never call. But when you're not getting attention from someplace else, you accept attention from other places, and you don't realize that it's the wrong attention. Yeah. You're just now glad that someone is taking a liking to you and giving you the attention you feel you so well deserve. I had gone out of town to Florida for BGR, which is Black Girls Rules. And it was an awesome convention filled with trans masculine and trans feminine folk from the public health field. And when I got back from that trip, he came to see me a 3rd time. And he said to me, oh, I'm charging you. I said, charging me? What are you talking about? And I said, look, I'm 35 years old. I don't have time for these little boy games, because you're mine, and you can't be in the right place if you coming to me asking me for money. Because I pay my own rent, my own bills. I do whatever I need to do for myself. What do I look like giving you money? He was quiet and he left. He came back. I didn't see him again for like another maybe 2 weeks after I got back from BGR. This was now November. Okay, so it came to see me twice already before I'd gone out of town. Once after I got back from out of town, and then a 4th time, which was November 26th, 2021. He knocks at my door as I was listening to some Tony Braxton, Just Be a Man About It, and sipping on some red wine because I love Merlot. And he knocks at the door. I looked at the peephole, and my first thing I said was, God, whatever is getting ready to happen, allow me to get through it. Mm. And I opened the door. He comes in, and I said, what are you doing here? He said, you know why I'm here. I looked down, and I looked up at him. I said, yeah, I know. I just didn't think that it would be, I didn't think it would be this. And had a little conversation, nothing too serious, nothing too tough, nothing that would have made anyone angry, not myself nor he. And I went to start to turning off some of the lights because, you know, I live alone. I don't want to pay a high power bill. So I turned off a couple lights. I turned off the last light, which is the kitchen light. And I think the only light that was on was the bathroom light, which was behind me after I would sit down on the couch. And I leaned in to pick up a glass of, you know, drink out of the wine. And when I put it down and leaned back up, I heard this big boom noise. And that was him shooting me in my head. And when he shot me in my head, even though all the lights were off, there was this bright light, very, very bright light. I mean, it was like the whole living room had the light on, and I knew the light wasn't on. And my body went numb, and I could barely hear. And the best way I can explain how it felt before I got up and ran out of the door, it was like I was warped back into my body. It was like I was almost like sucked back in. And the moment I realized that it was me who had been shot and that I wanted to live, I got up and I ran. He would constantly ask me things like, have you told anybody? You know, or, you know, things like that, because he was uncomfortable. And I just simply told him, you know, if you're so worried about it, just don't come and see me. You don't have to come around. I said, first off, I'm not the kind of hell. I don't want everybody to know that I'm what I'm doing here. You ain't nobody for me to be going to talk about. But he shot me. He shot me in my head. Clear as day, and he did it on purpose, and he meant to do it, and he knew what he was doing. And he shot me in order to leave me there dead. I suppose it was because he did not feel as though there was a reason, and he didn't want anyone to know that he was coming to see me, and he enjoyed coming to see me. When I got up and I ran out of the door, I knocked on my neighbor's door, and I don't know how I got out of that apartment before he did, but I was determined to live. I was determined to keep breathing. And my neighbors, as soon as they were opening the door, he comes running out of the apartment towards the left, up the 5 steps that it takes to get out of the building, never to be seen again. To this day, the police have still not captured him. Granted, I hold myself accountable because I went back to live at the apartment maybe 2 or 3 weeks after I had got out of the hospital. I spent about 30 days in the hospital. I had to have 1 surgery and my mouth wired shut for a month. And anybody who knows me, I love to eat burgers, and I still can't eat a burger. I went back to live at the apartment where the incident happened, just listening to the voice of God. And a lot of people might say God wouldn't tell you to go back there, but I believe that God has a way of saying, I want you to be stronger now than you were before. I want to see what you're going to do now that you did not do before, because I'm getting ready to bless you. And I think there are a lot of people who wouldn't understand that I feel like being shot saved my life. It doesn't make it right what this person did. It does not make it right that this person is roaming free, because it's not that I'm trans that I want him to be captured. I don't want him to do this to anyone else. I don't want him to do it to a child. I don't want him to do it to a man. I don't want him to do it to a woman. You should not do this to a person. You are not God. The power of life and death lies within our tongue, not in your hands. That's in God's hands. So for you to take it upon yourself to try to take my life or the life of anyone else, you're a menace to society, and you should be handled as such. Am I angry? Some days. Am I sad? Some days. Am I happy? Every day. So the violence on trans people is worse because Law enforcement sweeps it under the carpet by being silent and not doing anything about it. The violence isn't ridiculous because it's happening, because violence is going to always happen. It's the world we live in. It's what you do about the violence that's going to make a difference. It's the laws you put in place that's going to prevent someone from doing that, hopefully, is what we pray for. When I got shot, I was no longer trans. When I got shot, I was just Lana. I was just Paige. I was just human. From there, it should have been a life. Someone tried to attempt to take a life from a human being, not from a trans individual, not from a man, not from a woman, not from any of that. All of that goes out the window when it comes to my life. So this is where we are today, and we keep the conversation going. I've spent the last month now, I believe, I think it's about 3.5 weeks now, speaking out about it. Partially because I knew that I was closer to moving out of the apartment, because he's aware of where I live, and I know that once the word gets out, there was no turning back. And I knew that once I started speaking out about it, there was no looking back. That I would have to take whatever is going to happen from this point forward, because I'm speaking out about it, is going to happen. And it's not that I feared that the worst would happen. It's just, you have to pay attention to your life. You have to pay attention to the things that have happened. And I just did not want to be sitting in a place where I could potentially be harmed again because I'm speaking out about it. Because my intentions in every way, form, and fashion is to get him apprehended so that this doesn't happen to anyone by his hands.
So now y'all see why I invited her.
I can't hear you guys.
I'm just checking in. Everybody okay? Everybody okay? Checking in. Robert, you okay? So I wanted to do this, and the reason why I wanted to invite her is because I wanted her word to get out. I wanted her story to get out. Whatever we can do to advocate, not just for Paige, but for the trans community in itself. Let's do that. Let's start with our show, No Clue. And I wanted her to tell her story and share it and touch whomever she needs to touch and impact whomever she needs to impact. Rakia, I'm not going to do the final topic only because I think this should be a second part, because there is more to the trans community and I do want to bring her back. So I'm not going to do the remaining of, if that's okay with you, the remaining of what I had on my notes. Shavay, you okay? I ain't heard from you.
I don't have words at the moment.
I want us to. So before we get into the final thoughts, we're just gonna go ahead and get into final thoughts. This was a real touchy, and I hope very impactful show. Paige, I am going to bring you back. So I'll get with you with the dates on that, but I do want to bring you back and possibly another guest, but we'll talk offline about that. But Raquel, let's go ahead and roll. We need to roll, and then we'll get into final thoughts. Jeez. I think everybody got a little touched.
We're still live.
Here we are. Kia. Let me see.
I'm so sorry. What just happened? I'm sorry.
Go ahead and roll. We need to roll, then we'll get into final thoughts. I'm going to leave the next topic because I want to do a part 2 of this.
Okay. Sorry, y'all. Live shows.
No, we don't have anyone for like, the scary horror, that kind of like that area of things. Yeah, it's like not that we don't enjoy those things, but we didn't have like a resident geek for that area, so it's nice to have someone.
No, like I'm a self-proclaimed like scaredy cat, so therefore like you like just to let y'all know, like if y'all want to watch the shows, like I gotta schedule it in the daytime. Watching things at night is not the move for me.
All righty, we are back. Oh my God, everybody is so. I'm not going to apologize for this type of show because that's what we do at No Clue. We bring you the realness. We bring you life. We uncover the stuff that people try to cover up. So again, before we get into final thoughts, thank you so much, Paige, for just sharing your story and putting your story out there. Hell, putting your face out there, even after everything has happened. We're going to advocate for you here at No Clue. We're going to advocate for the trans community as a whole here at No Clue. So we're going to go ahead and get into some final thoughts. Who wants to start? Paige, you don't do your final thought yet. Who wants to start final thoughts? Anybody, somebody. If I start calling a name like a teacher do, I'm gonna pick somebody. Shabbat, go ahead.
Okay. I don't know. The first thing that comes to my mind is I am so sorry. I'm trying my best to refrain from using cuss words. To you and anyone else who's experienced this type of ignorant behavior, for lack of better words. It breaks my heart, honestly, and it makes me feel like, Lord, why you make me go first? I'm pregnant, emotional. Shoot. It makes me feel like we need to do more. I do appreciate you sharing your story to bring awareness, but this is, that's all I got right now, y'all.
Okay, DJ or Robert, want to go?
So, I had to break away. Y'all know I'm emotional. My wife is pregnant. Rihanna. So it doesn't do much, but I apologize. And I think the reason why it hits hard because I know so many people of trans experience who are really, really, really great, wonderful people, who would give their shirt off their back in 3-degree weather to somebody who's in need. Like, and to think that I hate that our end all be all is to kill somebody. Like, it's always in our community. If I'm mad at you, I'm gonna kill you. Like, what does it take for us to come out of that mentality? Because I get it, Black Lives Matter. No, all Black lives should fucking matter. Okay, it shouldn't be. You made a decision. Like, we all are given options. You gave a clear, concise option. Like, hey, here's who I am. I'm gonna be transparent and honest with you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not lying to you. I'm not deceiving you. You're not gonna find out. You made a decision, and now you want to hurt me because of your decision. To me, that's childish. That's a bitch ass move. Excuse my language, but that's what it is. Because I was raised, if you man enough to do it, you man enough to deal with the consequences. You know what I mean? And I just feel like we need to do some serious growing up as a community, as a whole. And I agree, Terry. It starts with us. Like, I'll be an advocate, whatever's needed, I'm there. Like, so hear me clearly. I did not know who Paige was. I know Paige. We went to the same church. Paige sung on the praise team I was a pastor at. And I was like, she looks familiar. So I had to ask Terry. And when it's somebody who you know, who I've seen spiritually pour out everything, it pisses me off from a human standpoint and a spiritual standpoint. Because I tell people all the time, I'm half human and half deity. My human will whoop your behind, and my spirit will pray at your funeral free of charge. No questions asked. So it's just, and I'm thinking about all the young people out here who are going through this experience, who are getting this type of treatment from their parents, who are getting it from their family members, their loved ones, people who are supposed to be there to support you. And if you don't have the support at home, and you're not going to get it out in the streets. And to hear your testimony of how you overcame so much. The Bible says we overcome through the word of our testimony. By you telling your testimony, I'm sure someone out there is going to say, well, I can do it too. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to be strung out on drugs. I can go to school. I can do this. I can do that. I just applaud you. I apologize. And should you have any clues as to where they may be located, just let me know. And I know we live. I tell y'all all the time. I have no problem. When it comes to people who I care about, I have a whole doctorate degree that I will put down because families come first. I take that serious. That's criteria. I'm ready to fight in the pulpit for her. I don't play them games when it comes to people I love. So you have my full support. I know a lot of people in Atlanta, in high places. I can make calls if need be. Just let me know what I can do to help.
Yeah.
And that goes for anybody out there. If you are being bullied, if you have people picking on you, if you feel like you're being hurt in any way, shape, form, or fashion, email us at nocluetheshow@gmail.com. All of us are licensed ministers. Your email will remain anonymous in highest confidentiality, and we're going to do what we can to get you what you need, to get you where you need to be.
DJ?
Right.
So, unlike my counterparts, I'm not going to say I'm sorry. I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being transparent. Thank you for sharing your story. I'm touched, but the social worker in me has known not to be able to do that on film. So don't believe that it's not that it's that. It's just that's my nature. And as somebody else that also works in public health, I know you can relate. But thank you for being brave enough to share your story. Thank you for being vulnerable enough to talk about your experiences. And thank you for shedding light on things through your lens and your voice, because oftentimes we want to be the people to have a cold conversation about somebody else's experience, and we don't live that experience. And so we're not, your storytelling did your experience justice. So thank you for that. In the grand scheme of things, as I said earlier, our trans brothers and sisters are strong individuals. We don't even take the time to consider, and your story puts it in perspective, the many various degrees of stressors, issues, bias, marginalization, prejudice, stereotyping that this particular group of people have to deal with every day, and do it with a smile on their faces. And so, for everybody out there, let's all reconsider all of those things, because yes, this is Black History Month, right? And yes, we all like, yeah, I'm black, I'm proud to be black. But then we also don't talk about the fact that the largest part of our hate crimes come from our own members, our own community. And so while we're celebrating this whole inclusivity, let's talk about what's happening to those of us who are marginalized. And this even more reason why we need to band together to make change and effectuate the change. So thank you, Paige.
Thank you.
I was going to go in the same route as DJ. I was not going to apologize either. I was going to say thank you. When I reached out to her and wanted her to come on, she was a little skeptical in the beginning because I reached out to her maybe a month out of the hospital.
Yeah.
It was in the beginning of her recovery. So she was fairly new coming out of the hospital when I reached out to her. So she was a little skeptical. And so I guess this was her time. So thank you for being the voice for the trans community, being the voice for yourself, because a lot of people are going through what you're going through and are being quiet about it because they're scared, because they thinking that, that person can find them and come back and retaliate and things like that. So I applaud you. Y'all are looking at a whole miracle. She was shot in the head and was able to get up and walk out and save herself. So I applaud you. Kudos to you. I mean, God, I don't know what to say. But you have 100% support from us here at No Clue.
Thank you.
If you have a final thought.
I have a lot of final thoughts. One of them is a song, and I'd love to sing it. Want to hear? Here you go. But so I sing this song, and it's dear to me, specifically because someone tried to take my voice away. And I think it's important to speak out loud about the things that we've been through, because just like if you're raising children, if you've been through something, you tell that child about it so that they don't get burned. So it's important to use your voice. And if you're going to use your voice and you have a platform to do it on, make sure you're using it the right way, so that you can touch those who are going through something, and hopefully prevent them from doing something terrible to themselves or to others. And that song, if you know it, sing along, is I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you, oh my soul. Rejoice, take joy, my King, in what you hear. Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, let it be a sweet sound in your ear.
Woo, Jesus.
Thank you for having me.
No,
Paige, before you go, I do want to let you know too. It's funny you said that something else, and I'm just gonna say it like this without getting too deep, but your voice is necessary, and I need you to know that your voice is necessary. And I think sometimes things will happen to remind us of how necessary we are. Okay. So I need you to know that from here on out, like you are complete. I'm just gonna leave it at that because we can get real deep, but I'll talk to you off the live. Because again, we're live.
Amen.
Like I said.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank y'all for joining us for another episode of No Clue. Wow, this was a deep one. Join us next week for another show. Email us at nocluetheshow@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook. Share us on Facebook. Join the Facebook group to communicate with us. We do communicate back. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitch. Subscribe on Patreon. Subscribe on YouTube. Smoke Signal.
Christian Mingle.
So done with you and your Christian Mingle. All right, guys. We love y'all. And we'll see y'all next week. Be good. Peace.